Hey guys, Nabil here. Hope everyone is doing fine. We have what looks like the first interview about the King of Fighters 15. It's not all about the King of Fighters 15, but this interview from Polygon by John Learned is really intriguing. It gives us some cool information about the King of Fighters series in general. Couple tidbits that we're gonna discuss as we're gonna see them here in when we talk about them, and some cool stuff again from the history of the King of Fighters. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through the important part that I think are the important. I mean, the whole interview is really cool, and there's a link in the description. Please go ahead and read it. But in this video, I'm just gonna stop on the cool important stuff that not a lot of people knew, and also some hints towards the King of Fighters 15. Before I get started, gentle reminder: do like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That helps the channel grow, and it helps YouTube algorithm to show my videos to other people as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is John Learned here had the opportunity to talk to Yasuki Oda, the producer of the King of Fighters, as well as Eisuke Ogura. And Eisuke Ogura is, of course, the art director of the King of Fighters 14 and 15. And in the first part of the interview, they talk about the early days of SNK. They both Oda-san and Eisuke Ogura started around 1993, 1995. So the height of SNK popularity. And they talk about how things were. So this is really cool. You definitely should read it. But I'm not going to talk about that. In fact, there's some really cool, this is really nice, we're going to see them, some early sketches for the King of Fighters 94. These have never been seen before. So this is a sketch, an early design document that shows what the King of Fighters 94 would like. And the cool thing is that they have the entire document available through this article for us to see, which is amazing. So they did confirm that the King of Fighters was first planned as a beat 'em up, it used to be called Survivor actually, but it was never, didn't get to a point where it was like a demo for it, anything like that. It was just an idea that changed quickly, and this is the document that I said, and it has some really cool stuff. So you have this image here, as again you can see all this in the link in the description. So I'm just gonna some early designs here with the look at Clark, man, looking really happy here. He didn't have glasses in the beginning. This is really crazy, like they look completely different. I mean, Hayden looks the same. There's some cool stuff here. So as you can see, Clark did not have any glasses. These guys didn't change much, so I'm just gonna go through them quickly. Kyo and Yang, the USA team is showing different some cool poses. Kim and Kim looks very happy in here, probably about his new pants in the King of Fighters 15. Fatal Fury team, obviously. Auto Fighting team as well. This is priceless, man. And Rugal, of course. Man, this is really awesome, dude. This is really cool stuff. And we also learned that the King of Fighters 95 was supposed to have the boss team, as you can see here. This is a design. This is a document from the King of Fighters, the King of Fighters 95. They were planning on having Geese, Krauser, and Mr. Big, which is something that happened obviously in 96. They plan to have a Samurai Showdown team. We talked about this before, but this is official confirmation. The Samurai Showdown team had Haomaru, Nakururu, and Galford. And this is the idea that from this scrap team that Nakururu was added to the Game Boy version of the King of Fighters 95. That was the first time Nakururu appeared on the King of Fighters game. Before, obviously, she made her official in-game or canon debut in the King of Fighters 14. Rugal was supposed to have a second, this is basically the second version that you fight, which is, of course, Omega Rugal. Pretty cool stuff. And look at Iori. Iori was completely different. like it looks completely weird here. This was the early design of Iori. Pretty cool stuff. So let's get into some other cool stuff here. But when they're talking about 3D, let's see. They talked about how Mark of the Wolves kind of like the Hail Mary right before things got sour, and it's a beautiful game and it plays differently than SNK's other output. Did you feel that it was your last big chance that you needed to really go for it? And what Ogura said was that what ended up happening was with Mark of the Wolves, we finished up development, we sent it out, and then we got the news that the company was folding in. They didn't know that the company was going down at the time. Pretty cool stuff, cool details. Now let's talk about, they talked a little bit about the bankruptcy and when the acquisition by Aruze. And they talked about the Hyper Neo Geo 64. This is really cool stuff. And this is an interesting one. Like the author just threw this out of nowhere. With investment in SNK by the MISC Foundation recently, have there been any immediate changes, any change of direction or changes in the short term? To that, Yasuyuki Oda said, unfortunately, where our position is right now, we can't really comment on questions like that. It's kind of above our pay grade. It wouldn't be fair to the company. We're going to have to unfortunately pass on that question. I think it was very clever that he threw this question in the middle, tried to get some sense of what are the changes that are going to happen with the acquisition by the investment by the MISC Foundation, the Saudi foundation, MISC Foundation. Which is Mohammed bin Salman's foundation, obviously, and they didn't want to say anything, which is understandable, honestly. So now they switch things, and again, I really highly recommend to go and read these cool things. This is really cool stuff, man. I love this. Really cool stuff. Really, like, you see things behind the scenes. And then they started talking about the King of Fighters 15. This is where I'm going to spend some more time on. He said, with the release of the King of Fighters 14 in 2016, the series entered its latest phase. Still, there is work to be done. Now, the question was, let's move on from KOF. Let's move on to KOF 15. When you look back at the King of Fighters 14 and the work that you did, what were some of the main criticism that you wanted to address? Ogura said clearly, which is what everybody was saying, going from 14 to 15, we wanted to work on the graphics and to make sure that the visuals were vastly improved compared to 14. And that's an accomplished mission, looking at the trailers. And here's the cool part. System-wise, we wanted to keep it as easy to play as 14. We want people to be able to jump in and play, but to add a new system with more depth to make it interesting as well. So, this is the first time we have someone from SNK talking about the gameplay of the King of Fighters 15. I mean, obviously, watching all the trailers and going the frame-by-frame analysis and all that, we'll try to pick up things on how the game plays, and maybe we're looking at things that, they seem more complicated than they're gonna be, because they clearly said they wanted it to be easy to access, like King of Fighters 14. King of Fighters 14 is an easy game compared to some of the previous King of Fighters games, so they're going with that. Better graphics, obviously, and system-wise, they wanted something to keep it as easy to play as 14. So this is a big thing. So very excited to see what that means. And here's another cool thing that I love so much. Yasuyuki Oda, the game producer, said, "We want a more interesting story, something more fun and more cool compared to 14." This is amazing. They're talking about the story of the game. They want the game to have a good story. This is really good, because as someone who loved the King of Fighters lore, and the story mode, if you call it that, it's not really a story mode for the King of Fighters 14, is kind of underwhelming. There's not a whole lot of thing happening. There's, the endings are cool, but you don't get the full picture. The fact that he's talking about story, it gives me hope that the game is gonna have a good story mode, something coherent, something cool, something we can understand. So this is really exciting for me. I can't wait to see what he means. I can't wait to see what the story mode of this game is going to be. So let's see what these for me. These two things. This question right here is as much as I love everything I've seen. This is when talking about the King of Fighters 15. This is the highlight of this interview. With so many legacy characters, it's gotta be hard to balance bringing in old characters, but also creating new ones. How do you feel is the best way to strike that balance? Is it X number of characters are going to be in this game and Y number of them should be new? To that, Oda replied, so the process is different for each game, particularly King of Fighters. There's no set process, like there should be this kind of amount and then this kind of amount. It's actually kind of done by the feeling we have coming off of the previous game. We look at the past game and say, okay, this game had too little of this, too much of that, and then we make adjustments for the next game. So this is pretty awesome. Then another cool question at the end is that given the pace you have set for yourselves over the last couple of years, you've done a mainline King of Fighters, then Samurai Showdown reboot, then back to the mainline King of Fighters, would you ever consider getting other developers involved to make on other SNK IP while you're working on these larger games? Maybe work with Capcom again, or even Arc System Works or other fighting game developers to take over that IP. Would you overseeing it? Oda laughs. It's not a rule that SNK can't license out our IPs and allow other companies to make games, and it's happened in the past. Is this going to happen moving forward? I can't really say. It's kind of up in the air. Maybe, who knows? It's not that we're the only ones who can make these games. It could happen in the future, who knows? Maybe I'm reading too much into this, right? But the way this is written, you know, starting with laughing and trying saying things over and over again, I just feel like Oda was surprised by the question, and surprised in a way it's because it's actually maybe happening, or maybe in a planned stage they're gonna let some other companies work on their games, because let's face it, I mean, unless there's a huge change in SNK is a small company, right? I mean, it is a small company, and I think it's a good thing if they can let some other companies work on their games, and you know, kind of, I think Metal Slug will be a good example to start with. You know, have someone else do Metal Slug for them, you know, and I think that would be realistically, that's the only way we can see other SNK games make a comeback. You know, a new auto fighting game. Well, Fatal Fury I think is gonna happen through SNK, but you know, Metal Slug, you know, all the cool SNK Neo Geo games that we've had before, New World Heroes, you know, pretty much all the cool games, Sengoku, whatever. I think having other companies doing these games for SNK is really the only way we're gonna see these games make a comeback. You know, I mean, otherwise SNK is gonna be focused on the big money makers, which is King of Fighters, maybe Samurai Showdown, Fatal Fury, and that's pretty much it. So I think this was a really amazing interview. The link is in the description. Please go ahead and read it, and let me know in the comment section, what do you think about this interview? What do you think about, you know, when you know, Oda-san talked about the story. They wanted a good story for the King of Fighters 15. This is, for me, this is the first time I hear from Oda-san that they're really caring about the story of the game, which is exciting, you know. I mean, SNK always loved and cared about the story, but the way they presented them, and at least in 14, was not the best way. 13 was okay, you know, with their story mode was okay. It was more convoluted than it should have been, but you know, there's something there that could be built upon. And I mean, we've seen a lot of cutscenes in the trailers before, so let's see what happens. And yeah, the Samurai Showdown team, dude, that was something for the King of Fighters 95. Anyway, let me know, guys, what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video from Neo Geo Now. Now don't forget to like and subscribe if you have not done so, and I would like to take this opportunity and thank my patrons for supporting the channel and making this content possible. Making daily videos, and especially the documentaries and lore episodes, takes a very long time and a lot of effort, and being able to get some support for these time-consuming tasks allow me to keep going and strive for more and better content. With that said, I want to give a big special shout out to Michael, Bryant Yard, Fahad Aswaidi, Heinz Green 3, SSBM Slick Tricks, Jacques Paul, and Ken Suenaga. As well as special thanks to Shaka Asamiya, Refugee Robles, Felipe Guimara, Jihao Ju, Gil Sal, Muhammad Al-Blushi, Anthony Longino, and Bernd Ritnas. Those of you who are not yet Neo Geo Now patrons, I hope you will check my Patreon page where you can become patrons, helping the channel produce more videos, as well as receive special perks that are exclusive to patrons, like early access to videos, exclusive making-offs, and other SNK digital goodies. Link for the Neo Geo Patreon page is in the description below. So until next time, thank you for watching.